A little over an hour ago, the mainstream media slipped. I really hope they don't delete this from Hulu or wherever else people DVR Fox. Something was said that has given away the whole game, and it's right out of Washington, D.C. It's this girl named Harris Faulkner. For those of you who don't know who she is, she runs the noon to 1 o'clock segment called Outnumbered, where she sits down with three other ladies and usually one guy on a couch. Not recently because of the distancing. But then from 1 to 2 o'clock, she has something called Outnumbered Overtime. And she goes over certain aspects of things they spoke of. She asked a question, and she said something that when we look back at this in the rearview mirror, we're going to say this was the moment the crack happened. This is when they blew it. Now, here it is. Let me set this up. She's interviewing a guy named Chad Pergram, and he reports on things that go on in the House and the Senate. And he's talking about this $2 trillion Corona, whatever, aid package thing, and how they've fast-tracking it through the Senate, how it may run into a problem in the House. Now, and how they're going to try to figure out a way to vote on this. I'm going to let this guy speak, and I'm going to let you hear her in her own words. 1 second while I adjust the volume.
House of Representatives, they continue to discuss not having a formal roll call vote. That's where they bring all 430 members, the current population of the House, together, and they vote electronically. There's a lot of concern about health and hygiene. They've discussed about having a voice vote. This is where a small contingent of members comes in to the House chamber, those opposed, those for, and they holler aye, they holler nay, and the loudest side wins. They think that they might be able to do that and, again, keep as many members out of the House of Representatives for health reasons, Harris.
So, Chad, just to cut in just a little bit before I have to let you go, two things here. So they're still planning to vote in person, which the rest of the nation must look at this and say, why haven't we figured out how to let them vote digitally or remotely or something? I mean, it is a pertinent question. You've got a huge chunk of the nation in lockdown or some kind of restriction. It seems odd. I'm just going to put that out there. The other thing is, I thought this was an emergency. Don't they have...
Oops. I thought this was an emergency. Now, I'm sorry about the little hiccups in the streaming. There's some issue with the internet today. But I'll back this up 10 seconds and play it again.
A huge chunk of the nation in lockdown or some kind of restriction. It seems odd. I'm just going to put that out there. The other thing is, I thought this was an emergency. Don't they have like... And look, maybe I'm naive asking this, but it's frustrating to watch the process. Having talked with the president yesterday, he's ready to get moving on this.
It seems odd. I thought this was an emergency. It seems odd. I thought this was an emergency. And any normal, rational American who looks at the behavior of the House and the Senate right now would not think this is an emergency at all. It's business as usual. It's haggling. It's horse trading. It's backdoor deals. These people aren't afraid of some worldwide pandemic killing millions of people and throwing us back 100 years and no recovery and everybody always sick. They're not afraid of that. They know the truth. And the truth is this. There have been and are going to probably continue to be some small, regional, sporadic outbreaks. Italy. China was where it started. New York. We might see one other big city, maybe two. But it's not going to be something where it just blankets the entire continental United States with the same infection rates and the same amounts of deaths. It's not going to hit Arkansas like it hit New York City. Once again, just like 9/11, somehow New York and DC's problems become all of our problems. And I really want to say I am sorry from the bottom of my heart to Mr. DeSantis for judging him too harshly too soon. If somebody's out there within the sound of my voice, let him know if he's not listening. My apologies. The Florida Maquis apologizes. Well done, Mr. DeSantis, standing strong for the liberty of Americans through this hoax. Worldwide pandemic hoax. Regional sporadic outbreak? Okay, I'll buy that. I'll accept that. Yeah, there's probably going to be some hiccups here and there. But as of 25 March, we have 809 people dead in the country. 809. 55,000 cases, the vast majority of which are going to recover or already have recovered. It's criminal. And it's real simple. If you want to see which direction we need to go, how do we fix this? There's absolutely nothing complicated about it at all. If it has an R by its name or a D by its name, don't vote for it. It's just that simple. If it has a parentheses R or a parentheses D by its name, do not vote for it. That simple. Going forward, hard and fast rule. That's the only choices you have. Don't vote. Abstain. They have now proven they will do and or say anything to keep their crown. A good friend of mine, a girl named Bellamy Baylor, sometimes back, some of you might remember this. She recorded, in fact, I think I'm going to share it in a post again, a Mary Gauthier song called Mercy Now. And in that song, there's a line that says, people in power, they'll do anything to keep their crown. And that's exactly what's going on here. This hoax was created by the left-wing media in order to destroy the economy, to win an election. It got out of hand, and now they're trying to do a controlled walk down of it. And yes, the rest of the world fell in line because that's what they do behind D.C. and New York. These criminals have just been busted by their own media who couldn't take it anymore. And I bet somebody's going to read her the riot act about this. I'm going to play it again.
Got a huge chunk of the nation in lockdown or some kind of restriction. It seems odd. I'm just going to put that out there. The other thing is, I thought this was an emergency. Don't they have like, and look, maybe I'm naive asking this, but it's frustrating to watch the process. Having talked with the president yesterday, he's ready to get moving on this. Everybody's perched, but we're still kind of going back and forth. How is this debate going to look? Can they speed that up?
Yes, absolutely. And that's what I said. They'll really hit the accelerator once they get that agreement, and the debate will probably only be a few minutes.
So, you heard it right from one of the inner sanctum of Fox. You see, Harris Faulkner, she's not one of these part-time contributor, bubblehead, bikini model types. She's old school. She's been there a long time. She's got 2 hours right in the middle of the day to herself. And if she's asking this question, I thought this was an emergency. Maybe I'm naive. It seems odd. When the mainstream media is saying that, what should we be saying? What should we be doing in our local communities? You know, there was a story about that preacher in Louisiana. The Louisiana National Guard actually stood up and said, we have absolutely no instruction whatsoever to intervene in any gatherings for any reason. And I'm not going to reveal what I know about certain National Guard units. I very, very, very much doubt that the commander of the National Guard, other than the governor in Louisiana, would ever even consider it. I don't think he'd follow the order. I know the Florida National Guard would not. Under any circumstances, go to a church and order people to disperse. They would disobey the order, and DeSantis would never give the order. He'd never do it. Because these aren't stupid people. Governor DeSantis lives in a place called Ponte Vedra, Florida. And it's just south of Jacksonville. Jacksonville is the largest geographic city in the entire country. Geographically, not by population. Geographically, it's the largest city in the entire country. Florida is home to some of the largest population centers. Orlando, Tampa, Miami, Jacksonville. We have a huge elderly population. If there should have been ground zero for this in this country, Florida should have been. It's tailor-made. Absolutely tailor-made for this. And it's nothing down here. It's absolutely nothing. And they're starting to talk about it. If you listen, they're starting to say, why aren't we seeing this problem that we see in New York and other places in the country? I thought this was going to roll over this country and it was going to be, what? Does the virus have some kind of order that it has to move from east to west? Is there something I don't know about viruses? Last I checked, weather moved from west to east in this country. Don't storms come in off the west coast and then roll across and then roll off to the east? Why would the virus go backward? Governor Cuomo actually said it. He said it's because so many people came into New York and from other places in the world and brought it here. And because of the draconian measures in New York, people are fleeing that state and that city, and they're taking it with them to other places. So you could make the argument that actually New York's heavy-handed dealing of this caused any other problem that you will see in this country by the way they handled it, by the narcissistic, selfish, self-involved way that they have handled everything else they've been in charge of for the last 100 years. If it has an R, if it has a D by its name, don't vote for it, don't talk to it, don't go to its website. And yeah, I do mean to use the non-personal there, because when somebody says I'm an R or I'm a D, they've lost the right to have any kind of personal association with you. So we're going to call them it. One of the most disgusting but revealing displays to date of the absolute beyond the pale narcissism of those two places, DC and New York. If you want to know why the world hates us, it's because that's the representative. They don't hate you, they don't hate me, they don't hate the people of Texas, they don't hate the people of Ohio or Kentucky or Idaho. Whenever they think of an American, they think of a New Yorker or some politician in DC. And that's sad that we have allowed that misconception about who we are as a people to fester. This event should be the catalyst that we take back our country with. We take back our states with. I hope Mr. DeSantis continues down this road where he starts to look at those two places with a very dim view and a very dim eye and starts to, I guess, make decisions for himself like he already has, but on other issues. And I guess I'll leave that there before I let this rant get too bad, but when Harris Faulkner says, I thought this was an emergency, this seems odd, game's up, kids. Like, share, subscribe.